Stand by. Oh, what's up, smarty people? It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Make your next thing a big one. Also, hey, this week's shows, if you're anywhere in the Conway, Arkansas area, anywhere on Friday night, I encourage you to check out the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. It's my one public show. I mean, I saved the rest of the weekend for private parties and weddings and birthdays, lots of birthdays. Oh, proms and school dances are coming up real soon. But I'm kind of stoked about that. But Friday night is my one public gig. The time and place where you get to shine. It's the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yeah, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. It starts at 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. The Rab in Conway, Arkansas. And they got a full bar. The kitchen's open. Pool tables, pool tournament. Friday nights, try your hand at playing pool. Maybe you can win some money while you're waiting to sing on stage right next to me. It's a little concert starring each and every one of you. Yeah, you are the star of the show, at least for a few minutes while you're singing a song. If you sing in the shower, if you sing in the car, you could sing right next to me on stage at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM, Friday night. Also, if you're not in the Conway, Arkansas area, or if you're farther away, even if you are in Conway, I invite you, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, U.S. shuts Kyiv embassy down, but Russia moves some troops away from Ukraine. The Biden administration said Monday it was shutting down its embassy in Kyiv as the United States and its allies warned that Russia could invade Ukraine within days. The U.S. believes Moscow has massed as many as 130,000 troops near the Ukraine border, with tens of thousands of them participating in military exercises in Belarus. Secretary of State Antony Blinken emphasized that the U.S. is continuing to work closely with Ukraine on, quote, intensive diplomatic efforts to de-escalate the crisis, end quote. Russia announced that it was pulling back about 10,000 of the estimated 130,000 troops it has massed near the Ukraine border, although it said it was continuing military drills. This is according to The Hill and the Wall Street Journal. Number 2, accounting firm cuts ties with Trump as investigation continues. Former President Donald Trump's longtime accounting firm abruptly ended its relationship with him and the Trump Organization last week as he faces ongoing criminal and civil investigations into allegations he and his family business affiliated inflated the value of properties to secure loans. The New York Times reported Monday, citing court filings. In a February 9th letter to the Trump Organization, the accounting firm Mazars USA said it could no longer stand by financial statements it prepared for Trump based on information he and his company provided. In the letter, Mazars said the Trump Organization should retract the documents from 2011 to 2020, according to the Times. The Trump Organization said in a statement it was disappointed with Mazars' decision. This is according to the New York Times. Number 3, Trudeau invokes emergency powers against trucker protests. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Monday invoked emergency powers in a bid to break up the so-called Freedom Convoy protests against coronavirus restrictions that clogged Ottawa's downtown and blocked key border crossings. Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced Monday that his province, the most populous in Canada, would lift its COVID-19 vaccination mandate in 2 weeks, but said the move wasn't in response to the protests. He said the change was coming because it was, quote, safe to do so, end quote. Now that the coronavirus surge driven by the highly contagious Omicron variant is subsiding, the province will also lift its 50% capacity cap on restaurants on Thursday, 4 days earlier than previously scheduled. This is according to the Associated Press. Number 4, judge says he will dismiss Palins' liable suit against Times. A federal judge on Monday said he would dismiss 2008 Republican vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin's libel lawsuit against the New York Times. Palin accused the Times and former editorial page editor James Bennett of defaming her in a 2017 editorial by incorrectly linking her to the deadly mass shooting that left then Representative Gabby Giffords, Democrat Arizona, severely wounded. U.S. District Court Judge Jed Rakoff in Manhattan dismissed the suit, finding the Times made a, quote, very unfortunate, end quote, error, but Palin failed to show the newspaper acted with, quote, actual malice, end quote. The standard for libel cases involving public figures. Rakoff said he would issue his ruling after the jury finishes deliberating, so an appeals court would know how the jury's decision as well as his own. This is according to Reuters and the Washington Post. Number 5, hate crime prosecutors cite racist text by Ahmaud Arbery's murderers. Prosecutors in the hate crime trial of the 3 white men convicted of murdering black jogger Ahmaud Arbery pointed to their racist comments and the use of the N-word in text messages to assert that the crime was racially motivated. Defense attorneys said the 3 men, Travis McMichael, who fatally shot Arbery, McMichael's father, Greg McMichael, and another neighbor, Roddy Bryan, chased down Arbery as he ran through their Georgia neighborhood because of their, quote, honest though erroneous suspicion, end quote, that he was behind recent robberies in the area. Quote, I'm not going to ask you like Travis McMichael, end quote, said defense attorney. Oh, the quote was, quote, I'm not going to ask you to like Travis McMichael, end quote, said defense attorney Amy Lee Copeland, quote, but I'm going to ask you to return a verdict of not guilty in this indictment, end quote. This is according to NPR. Number 6, U.S. requests extradition of former Honduras president. The United States on Monday formally asked Honduras to extradite the former President Juan Orlando Hernandez to face charges of receiving money from drug cartels. Police surrounded Hernandez's house hours after the U.S. made the request to the Honduran Foreign Ministry. Prosecutors in New York say the former president, once a U.S. ally, used his Central American nation's armed forces to provide security for drug traffickers. His extradition is not considered a sure thing because it must be approved by the country's Supreme Court, which Hernandez stacked with loyalists while he was in office from 2014 to January of this year, when he was unseated by opposition leader Xiomara Castro. This is according to the New York Times. Number 7, Musk donated 5 million Tesla shares to charity last year. Tesla CEO Elon Musk donated 5,044,000 shares in the electric vehicle maker to charity from November 19th to November 29th last year, according to a Monday Tesla filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The donation, worth $5.74 billion, came as Musk sold $16.4 billion worth of Tesla shares after polling Twitter users about whether he should unload 10% of his stake in the company. Musk tweeted that he would be paying more than $11 billion in taxes last year as he exercised lucrative stock options. Bob Lord, an associate fellow at the Institute for Policy Studies who studies tax policy, said Musk would get a, quote, huge, end quote, tax benefit by gifting shares instead of selling them because he would avoid capital gains tax. This is according to Reuters. Number 8, Parkland victim's father protest on 4-year anniversary of shooting. Manuel Oliver, father to Joaquin Guac Oliver, one of the 17 people killed in the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School on February 14, 2018, protested atop a construction crane in Washington, D.C. Monday morning, the 4-year anniversary of the massacre. Quote, "The whole world will listen to Joaquin today. He has a very important message," end quote, Oliver tweeted, standing on the 150-foot crane. Oliver hung a sign from the crane addressing President Biden saying, quote, 45K people died from gun violence on your watch, end quote. Oliver and his wife Patricia are calling for Biden to pledge substantial reform to curb gun violence during his State of the Union address, slated for March 1st. Biden commemorated the tragedy with a call for action to reduce gun violence. This is according to the Miami Herald. Number 9, study finds Western mega drought is worse in 1,200 years. The mega drought gripping the Southwest has been the driest in 2 decades, the driest 2 decades there in 1,200 years or more, according to an analysis published Monday in the Journal of Nature Climate Change. The drought started in 2000 and has severely reduced water supplies and fueled wildfires. It was already considered the worst drought in 500 years when exceptionally dry conditions in summer 2021, quote, really pushed it over the top, end quote, said lead researcher A. Park Williams, a University of California, Los Angeles climate scientist. During the summer, 2/3 of the West was affected by extreme drought. The researchers determined that the weather conditions were worsened by human-caused climate change. This is according to the New York Times and NPR. Number 10, Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes reportedly will host the Oscars. Amy Schumer, Regina Hall, and Wanda Sykes are expected to host the 2022 Academy Awards. Variety reported and Deadline confirmed on Monday. Schumer, Hall, and Sykes will be the first official Oscar hosts since 2018, as the ceremony has gone without an MC during the past 3 years. Comedian Kevin Hart was scheduled to host in 2019, but he stepped down after a backlash over homophobic tweets and jokes. The Oscars hadn't hired a new host since. Last month, ABC confirmed the 2022 ceremony would bring back a host, but the Hollywood Reporter later revealed the plan was actually to have 3 of them, turning the ceremony into a, quote, 3-act show, with each 1-hour act emceed by a different host, end quote. This is according to Variety and Deadline. That's 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. Thank you so much for listening. This has been What Makes You Smarter. If you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Smarter. Stay tuned to this feed for more of the stuff that I find interesting. I'm just trying to fill my head with knowledge. And if you like the sound of my voice, maybe you'll come along with the journey. For the journey. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.